Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you were with me last week, you will have seen that I did a video on some of my favorite image transfer techniques. So sticking with that theme, today we are going to do an image transfer on a t-shirt. Now I know I did a video of that prior, I want to say maybe around Christmas sometime, but much like all artwork is different, all t-shirt printing can be different too because it is just another form of art. So while I'm going to be using the same method, the outcome is going to be much different. So I'll be doing two of these videos, today's and also next Friday I'll be putting out a different one, and they will be entirely different outcomes using entirely different pieces of art, although the same method. So just stick with me and it will begin to make sense. So today I'm going to be using this image of a bison, and I got this off of Unsplash.com, and that is the royalty-free site that I use for all of my images that I want to print that aren't ones that I've made myself. Upload the images off of there to my phone. I will then send them to my local Office Max or wherever you get your prints done. This is assuming that you don't have access to a laser printer at home, which I do not. Now, will this work with an inkjet printer? I don't know. If it does, it won't be this same method, and that's something we can actually try to do on the channel sometime just to kind of test it out. But for today, we're using the laser jet print that I have here of this lovely bison, and this is going to be a gift for someone. So what I'm going to be using is this GAC 900. This is a heat set fabric painting medium from Golden, and this has a very thin consistency to it, but we're going to be mixing it equal parts with our Liquitex Mars Black acrylic paint, and we're going to roll it on to the plate, pull our image transfer like we normally would with any image transfer, and get that onto our t-shirt. And once we get that far, I'll tell you what the next step is going to be. So I'm going to just go ahead and get started. So the very first thing we're going to do is get our paint and heat set medium mixed up. So I said we're going to be doing this again next week as well, and we are, but one of you all actually told me that you do fabric printing without using anything other than acrylic paint. Now, I know that I've definitely gotten acrylic paint on my clothes like pretty much every time I ever touch it. So maybe it is possible to do that. I don't doubt you, whoever you were that said that to me, but I think I'm going to try that next week, and we'll see if there's any difference in like the longevity of the print or anything like that, and kind of just test it out and see what works best. So I'm just mixing this here really, really well. I want to make sure this is very, very thoroughly combined. And then we're going to just roll it onto the plate like we would any other kind of paint or media that we would be using. So let's see here. Okay. Just so I kind of know what I'm going with there. I'm still seeing a little bit of that cloudy white in there, so just give this another quick little mix. And spread that right on. Now I remember from the last time that because that adds a little more moisture to the paint, it does take a little bit longer for it to dry. So I'm not worrying too much about working too crazy fast on this. I mean, I'm still not going to dilly-dally, but this would have been helpful if I had my roll-off sheet set up. Here we go. And we're going to treat this just like we would any other image transfer. So what I mean is we're going for a very thin layer here. We want to roll it off until we can start to really see what's going on underneath it. Now, because it does thin the paint out a little more, you will get a tiny little bit of like crawling on there, but not enough that is going to actually do any harm. Okay. And like I demoed in the last video that I did with the image transfer, these do not take very long to transfer. that turned out lovely. So why I sound surprised is I tried to do this exact same print before and I didn't get a very clear print of it, and it turned out great this time. However, there are one or two spots that I wouldn't mind having a little more paint on. So, and I showed this, I think, in my last video too. I'm going to just take a very fine paintbrush and go in and add a little bit of paint to a couple of areas. So let me find a paintbrush and I'll be right back with you. All right, I found a brush. I'm just dipping it in what I have left of the paint on there, and I'm tapping it off so that there's not a whole bunch because I want this to match up pretty well. So I'm just trying to define, sorry, I'm trying to think, paint, and talk at the same time. Apparently I'm not capable of that. Just trying to define some of these areas just a little bit better. I don't want too much paint, but I really want this to stand out. So even if I just get a better outline there, that's going to be more along the lines of what I was hoping to get. I swear the wind waits to blow until I'm making a video, and then it sounds like I am recording inside of a wind tunnel. All right. And because I got multiple prints of this made, because I wasn't 100% convinced that it was going to work out, I can actually just kind of go in looking at this and touching up any areas that seem like they might need it. Sorry for the giant pauses, again, trying to think and speak and paint all at the same time. It's hard. Now, I'm not looking for perfect here. I am just looking for a little better than what I had. And there's some like wonky lines in here that I can stipple out with this brush. That's what this is called, stippling, when you're holding a brush and just touching it down to the substrate there. This is actually grass down there by the feet, and that doesn't bother me. I mostly just wanted to make sure I had a nice outline. So as long as we can get the correct shape there, that's going to make me happy. And you can always go in and alter your image transfers in any way that you want once they're down. If you see some shading that you would like in there that's not, add that in, you know, whatever you want. You can add different colors. Make it entirely yours, especially if you are using an image off of one of these sites like Unsplash. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. I do it all the time. But I kind of like the idea of making it a little bit more mine, you know, just to, I'm an artist, so that's kind of what I want to do. So I'm going to just go up here a little bit more right along the top outline of the body and add just a bit more in there. Sorry for the cats in the background. They also wait until I am recording to decide they want to sing as much as possible. There's an ear in there that I'd kind of like to get a little more defined. That is also an ear. And I'm just going to work at this a tiny little bit more. And then the next step here is going to be to let this dry, just like we would with any other print. And then I'll tell you what we're going to do next. Okay, we're calling that. That's going to be perfect. So anyway, as I was struggling to say, we're going to let this dry. I'm going to help it along with my hairdryer, and then we will be back to do the next step. Okay, so this is now dried. I just have the plate sitting on top of the t-shirt on which I'm going to print it. While this was drying, I mixed up a gray color that is pretty similar to the background color, and that's what I'm going to cover the buffalo in. Now, here's my thought. I would like to only have the paint over top of the buffalo. So what I'm thinking of doing is actually making an inkjet copy of this same image that I have, so it should be the same size. And I'm going to just cut around it and like make a mask. I'll, being pretty careful. I'm not going to get every single one of these little things, and that's okay because A, I can clean some of it up before I print it, or B, I could, because it's such a similar color as the background, I can kind of let that go and just blend the paint into the background, which is probably what I'll end up doing. So I'm going to go ahead and get that made and cut out, and I will be back with you. Okay, I got my mask all cut out. Let me show you here. This is just out of regular old printer paper because I made my inkjet copy, and I'm laying this down on the plate. I didn't do a perfect job here, and I actually might go in and cover this section up here a little bit just with some tissue paper, or not tissue paper, just another piece of copy paper there. Yeah, I'm going to do that. That just masks it a little bit more in that one area that I didn't do a great job of cutting around. Again, this is all kind of like figuring on the fly here. So if I was going to do a regular gel print on regular paper, I would just pull that print with my matte medium. But because I don't know how that is going to work as far as like longevity of like fabric going through washing machines and such, that's why I mixed up this gray paint to kind of sort of match the background there a little bit, just to try to mitigate too much background color seeping through. I was going to just do the whole thing in white on the background so it really stood out, but that's not how I wanted it to look. So we're going to go in with this now and see what happens. I can already tell you this piece is going to fall off, but even if it does, it's fine because, in fact, I'm not even going to bother. I can just clean that off when I get it on there. We're just going to roll this on and hope for the best. So here goes. Okay. Anytime I'm using a mask, I always try to go from the outside to the inside just in case it pulls up. And again, I can always clean this off afterwards if a little bit ends up in a place where I don't want it. All right, let's see what we got here. Not too bad. Okay. I am going to just go in because the tip of that didn't get covered, and just a little bit over here. but everything else looks great. And I'm going to go for it. Get the debris off of here. It's a lot easier if your plate is on something like a piece of plastic or plexiglass, but that is not what I've got going on here because I don't have that available. So just be careful with it. It is much easier if you do not have a design all the way out to the edges so that it gives your fingers something to grab onto. I am now press, press, press. And I am going to very carefully slide that up to a flatter spot on my table. I'm going to set several heavy books on this, and I'm going to just ignore it for a certain period of time, which I will let you know what that is when I come back. Okay, it's been about a half an hour or so, and I'm going to see what we're dealing with here. So I'm going to take these off. This is going to be stuck to the plate, so I'm going to very carefully try to unstick it. Okay, I had a moment a little while ago while I was waiting for this to dry. I'm like operating on no sleep. And I got down there and I'm like, did I print the whole thing backwards? Am I going to just see a giant gray, slightly bison-shaped blob? But no, I didn't. Definitely get rest before you make art. Okay. Let's kind of take a peek here and see if it has transferred or if we need to give it more time. Ooh, look, 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 look. Oh, I'm so excited. Look at this. I didn't do too bad of a job with the gray paint either. That color is pretty close. I don't even think I need to blend that into the background. Here, I'll take you in. I mean, obviously you can like see it, but from like a wearable distance, it's not gonna bug me. So that is really neat. I'll take it back out again. Okay. So the next step with this is going to be, we're gonna do the shape of an arrowhead like around the buffalo. So kind of like coming out like that. So what I'm gonna do is probably with like a charcoal pencil. I'm going to draw the shape that I want. And then I'm thinking, because I don't want just like a hand-drawn line, I'm thinking what I'm gonna do is maybe like use painter's tape or some kind of tape and paint tape like around the design, but in a manner such that I'll show you here, so that I've got like, if this is the tape, this is the inside that I can then like paint. So it's going to be a little bit thicker of a line, like maybe 1/8 of an inch or something, instead of just like a thin drawn line. So that's going to be the next step with this. And then once all of the paint is on it, then I will go ahead and heat set it and it will be ready to wear. I am so excited that this is turning out. I tried to do this, like I said, once before and I did not get a good print. So very excited, and I'll be back with you to do the arrowhead. Okay, so I am back. It's the next day and I had a completely different idea. So instead of taping everything off, which I thought was going to take forever, I kind of just made another mask system here out of some craft paper. I just drew the rough shape of the arrowhead on a piece of craft paper, cut out so that there would be negative space there. And I'm going to just use one of my little sponge daubers to daub it on. I'm not even going to tack it down because I don't think it's necessary. And if I end up getting a little bit outside the lines, I can definitely touch that up a little bit at the end. So we're just gonna go for it here. And I already have some paint mixed up. Let's do it. Okay, let's see what we got. Well, I really don't know how I could have done any better than that with the idea that I had in my head. So I am very pleased. I may just touch up a little tiny bit here and there with a brush, but that's what we got. So my next step from here is going to be to let this dry completely. And once it's dry, I'm going to take a piece of parchment paper, lay it over, and heat press everything with a medium iron, no steam, for 5 minutes, and then it's good to go. So thank you all for joining me on this journey. I've been wanting to try this for a while and putting it off because I wasn't sure exactly how I was going to accomplish it, but the idea came to me and I think it worked out pretty well. Let me know what you think. And next week, we're going to be doing another design on a t-shirt, this one for me. And I think it'll be fun. So thanks for sticking around. Give me a thumbs up if you liked what you saw. And if you haven't had a chance yet, go ahead and subscribe to my channel. I put out a new video every Friday morning Eastern time at 10 a.m. Have a great week.